Okay, hi guys, welcome back to the Audio Levels channel. Welcome back to another review, and this is a big one. This is the Thieaudio MONARCH MK3. This is the new MONARCH, and this is an exciting one for various reasons, because the MONARCH MK2 was one of the most popular earphones Thieaudio have ever released. It was the end game for many people, and for me it was one of the best earphones they've ever released. I'm going to say until they released the Prestige Limited, it was the best earphone that they released. It was an absolute stunner of an earphone, especially in terms of its design. If we go ahead and look at this, the faceplate design on it was absolutely gorgeous, but it matched that with the sound quality. Now in this box I have the Mark III, and it's the best looking earphone that I have seen in 2023, and in my opinion the best faceplate design I have ever seen. It is an absolute stunning earphone, but is it going to deliver? It's got some new technology on the inside as well, and what we want to know is how's it going to perform in terms of sound. With a $1,000 price tag, it better perform good. So let's get into this video. Now I'm going to do some comparisons here. I'm going to do comparisons to the MONARCH MK2, which is the obvious one, as well as the Prestige Limited, which is a little bit higher up in their price tier, at about $1,300, as well as talking about some of these earphones here. Can anybody in the comment section below say every single one of these? Name all 12 earphones on the side there. I'll pin your comment. If you're the first person, I'll give you a like if you can do it without looking at the other people's comments. There's some obscure stuff in there, and we're going to talk about comparisons to that. I'm also going to talk about comparisons to my IER1ZR, IEM'S, and the maybe my 64 audios as well. I don't want to go into comparisons with my customs though, because that's custom earphones and a whole different process and a different category. I've got a video coming about my customs very soon, so please go ahead, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. This is the packaging. This is the inner packaging. This is the outer packaging. It comes wrapped in this sleeve. And the thing you're going to realize when you get the Thieaudio MONARCH MK3 is you're going to want to tear your hair off, because you've just bought a $1,000 earphone and you don't want to destroy the pretty box. I don't have time, because the tolerances that they use to get this box inside this sleeve are unbelievable. It is like vacuum sealed in there. So I absolutely shredded my way into this. I was too excited to get this. The other thing is, and I already did this in a previous take of the video, but when you open this packaging, and it's very cheap packaging, you open it up and you get to here, it will now start to rip until the point that it comes apart at the seams there. And just for fun, because I don't really care about the packaging on most stuff, here is the $1,300 packaging, which is the exact same. And I've not done this one, I've stopped here, but 3, 2, 1. Oh, I ripped it. Sad. Throw that over there. That's going in the trash. This is unacceptable. Thieaudio, your accessories are not up to scratch, your packaging is not up to scratch. $1,300, people want to be wild. Look at Canera, for example. Canera have some fun, exciting, it really feels special when you're getting it, but my God, the earphones are so good looking, they deserve packaging. So go ahead and give them the packaging they deserve. I know it's not really important in the grand scheme of things, but come on, you're spending that much money. The carry case is also just generic nonsense. This is probably like a $1-2 case at AliExpress, rebranded with Thieaudio on top. It's nice though, it's a good place to store your earphones. It is soft lined on the inside, and it's got enough space for a small DAC, maybe a dongle DAC, spare set of cables and stuff, and some ear tips. The ear tips, for that matter, I'm not a big fan of either. You get the comply style and you get the generic rubber style, the silicone style, and they're okay for what they are, but go ahead and include some ASLAs. Your resellers of ASLAs, include some ASLAs in the box. If anybody hasn't got ASLAs by now, ASLA SenderFit Elastic, if you don't have them on your earphones right now, whatever price point you're on, $50 to $10,000, put ASLAs on because I say they are the best ear tips for a reason. They're absolutely stunning. They're a massive upgrade. They grip the ear so well and give such a good seal. So there's a link to the exact ASLAs I'm talking about because they have multiple different versions of it, but I'll leave a link to the exact ones I'm talking about in the description below so that you can buy the correct ones. Now, the cable has been changed. So the cable on the previous version was the corded cable that I was a huge fan of. And I'm sort of sad to say that this new cable, while adequate, is just not as nice, not as premium feeling. It is a four cord twist design. So instead of having a braid, and the thing that happens with this sort of design, especially in a loose braid, is you can see here, the twist is sort of looser and then it's tighter around here and then gets looser here, so you can see like how vertical the stripes go if I hold it like this. So there's a longer black section just here and then it's like tightly wound here, and that comes from just wrapping it up like that, and it creates these little kinks in it. Now they come out after a few hours of using them once the earphones have been straightened up, but once you wrap it up again, you get these little kinks again. I don't really like that. It's sort of a cable that I would see on an earphone $300 to $500 maybe would be adequate, but it definitely doesn't feel as nice as the corded one that they've gone away from, although I know some people don't like corded earphones or earphone cables. The good thing is that it does come with the interconnected jack system. So something made popular with Duno when they released the Hulk was that you could switch out the connectors, make it a balance connector, a regular stereo jack. You can switch between 3.5mm, 4.4mm and 2.5mm balanced options. And to do it, it's one of the easiest systems actually that Thieaudio has. You just simply, you'll see a line, a little notch in here, and then you'll see a line on this side just here at the top, and basically you try and line those up and just push it together like that. It's super simple, really easy. And what that allows you to do is, if I bring my BESaudioreview DX300, is I can use the regular jack or the 4.4mm balanced. Now let's take a look at the earphones. I'm going to take away the cable. It is obviously 2-pin connector. It's something that I was going to say is that I would probably buy a balanced version of this. This is the Seraph from Trip-On, and I think it's a stunner, and with these earphones I think it pops really nice. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you want to check that one out, but there's a video on that cable that's just been released this week. Let's take a look at the earphones themselves in all their glory. Now this is obviously not going to do it justice, but I don't know, there's something Van Gogh looking about this this design from this angle. But what is not capturing adequately is if I do it off camera, it actually changes the color. So if I go really far there, it turns to gold, and then it flicks back to red and then orange, and then it takes on sort of pinky hues. The blues change color from like purple to blue. There's little specks of turquoise in there. I think that is such a beautiful design. Like absolutely gorgeous design. As for fit and finish, it's really nice. Let's bring the originals in. And there's some small differences in here. Overall, I feel like it's a smaller earphone. If you see from side to side here, it's not as wide, and I found it far more comfortable than the original Monarch to use. And I think they've done that because they've added more depth to the design. I think that's a great choice because it's not an overly deep earphone. If I bring in the Prestige as well, so, similarly bulky in there, but they've gone for a thinner design here and here, and they brought it in down here so that it sits in your tragus and anti-tragus a lot better. It's a very comfortable earphone now, whereas before some people might have struggled with the size of the original Monarch. And put that to the side. Overall, the finishing is really nice. It's that standard medical grade resin with the nozzles, the metal nozzles on it, so it protects it if you drop it. And I like that they've gone to a recessed 2-pin connector. That was something I asked them if they could do in any updates in the future is recess the 2-pin connectors, because it provides a little bit more protection in terms of if your 2 pins are moving about, or if you've got sweat and you're going to ingress some water into the earphone. Stunning design, very comfortable, all day comfortable. So they've done a lot of small refinements on this earphone that are adding up to very big performance updates. On the inside, we have a different configuration. Now we have dual dynamic drivers for the bass, and it's something that they call their Impact 2 technology, and it's using a hyperbaric technology to pressure. If anybody knows what hyperbaric chamber is, it's basically pressure regulated chambers. It's got a consistent pressure on the inside. You can change the pressure. So they've regulated the pressure inside the chamber using their own technology and mounted the bass drivers inside it seems, which is going to provide more consistency throughout the bass, is my opinion of what they're trying to do there. There's a lot of marketing bump and stuff like that comes with these sort of designs, but it does make sense in such a small space to regulate the pressure in terms of getting more consistency throughout the bass. But that addition of a second bass driver is going to be what's more interesting, what we're going to talk about in the sound portion of this review. They have 6 balanced armatures in the mid-range, and they have 2 electrostatics up top. In terms of that configuration, you do get cheaper earphones, you get more expensive earphones with that sort of tribrid technology, but I think that Thieaudio have really sat down with this earphone and really tried to give it everything that they can give in terms of how good can they make this sound, how good can they make it. And there's one area in particular where they have absolutely blown my socks off, and to me it's proof that this new technology, this Impact 2 bass technology, is real, and it's providing a noticeable benefit. And unbelievably, they've actually managed to upgrade the sound over the Monarch MK3, and that is in the mid bass. So the sub bass doesn't sound much different. It's maybe slightly more extension. It was already really good in terms of impact, but in terms of tightness and control, it was a really good sounding earphone. It was capable to be used for EDM, no problem. It's not a bass head earphone, but it's capable to be used for multiple genres. You can go from anything classical, and the versatility, the classical, EDM, hip hop, back into pop, rock. You could switch about all day with this, and that's something that I've been doing a lot. And now I notice, where I maybe didn't notice before, that there was a weakness in the Mark II. And that was in the mid bass, because side by side is when you really start to notice the difference. So I'm assuming that they've tuned one of those dynamic drivers, the 10mm dynamic drivers, to handle the sub bass, and then brought in the other one to bring up the mid bass in terms of quantity and prominence. And they've not just done it in a way where they've added more mid bass, they've added excellent quality mid bass, and that resonates more than anything in jazz music. Jazz music is excellent for testing mid bass because you get a lot of double bass, for example, a lot of bass from that strummed sort of things, lower weighted stringed instruments, where that mid bass comes in and becomes really prominent. It sounds absolutely fantastic in terms of the resonance and the detail retrieval in it. Mid bass, I always say, is the one area where companies can improve the sound quality of their earphones, because when audiophiles talk about things, they're like, I've heard details that I have never heard before. It's a common thing that you hear, and one of the easiest ways to add that is if you've got an earphone that has got bass, but it's mainly in the sub bass region, and you've got good mids and you've got good treble, if you add in good quality mid bass, you're adding an extra dimension. You're adding stuff that people are like, wow, I didn't realize that was so clear, or that was so beautifully done. And this is done beautifully, and especially the transition into the lower mid-range, it's absolutely fantastic here. It's seamless, even though the driver handoff is being done at a point where you're going from balanced armatures, dynamic driver, you're going between technologies. There's no jarring sort of transition between it. It's very smoothly curved in there, whereas I think this was the mid bass was a little bit more recessed, and you can definitely hear it going back and forward between the two of them. Now, in terms of the mid-range is exceptional. Not so much in terms of all-out detail retrieval. All-out detail retrieval seems to be more of the foray of the Thieaudio Prestige Limited, which I have on the left here. Thieaudio Prestige Limited is far more sort of based on clarity, detail, and sort of more visceral. This is a more sort of laid back. I'm not going to say laid back, because it's not a laid back sort of lush sounding earphone. It's got a hint of warmth over the top of it that is more prominent than in the Prestige. The Prestige, you've got a little hint of warmth as well, but not to the extent that this does. This is a lot more lush sounding when you go and listen to them side by side, and it is more akin to how I see the mid-bass performance of this, the Kinera Sculled. The Kinera Sculled, for those that don't know, and those are new to the channel, was my favorite earphone for the past 2 years. It was my go-to over all these other multi-thousand. This is a $500 earphone that performed to me better than my Sony IER1ZR. It was my go-to earphone until I picked up the Prestige. The mid-range is almost identical in terms of the way it performs. It's smooth. It's excellent in both male and female vocals, and it's got good separation and clarity between instrumentation, which is, I think, what you really want. Going into specific songs like Gregory Porter, you've got the weight of Gregory Porter. There's a song called Concord, I believe, and he goes 50,000. Like, I'm not going to try and sing because that's just going to make you click off the video, but you have Gregory Porter. Going into that, there's a Turkish singer called Emi. I was going back and forth, and then I went into Io, Down on Your Knees. Those songs for me are great for testing vocals. You get the deepness of Gregory Porter. It was able to deliver great depth with this earphone, but then I was able to go into the Eni, and you get that really floaty presentation. Now, one great person to test vocals with is obviously Dimash. I don't know if you know Dimash. If you haven't heard Dimash, go and listen to Dimash SOS. This guy has vocalization that can be done in so many different octaves. He can go from super, super low, super, super high baritones and stuff like that. He has probably, I think he's got the most variation, the most octaves in his repertoire, and he'll do it in a single song. So like SOS by Dimash, go and listen to that. It sounds absolutely fantastic in there because you get the air and you've got the variation within the mid-range. The other thing is the treble is really, really nicely done on this as well. I'm struggling to find any weak points of this earphone. I think that's testament. When you get to a certain level, it's about eliminating weak points, and they've eliminated the weak points in the mid-bass. And the treble is airy, it's nice, it creates good soundstage. It's got more width than depth, I would say, but it's got a nice soundstage. It's not super open like something like up here, one of the Campfire Audio Solarises. I'm giving away too many of these earphones over here that if you want to go ahead and have a go. But yeah, the Campfire Audio Solaris original version, that was super wide and open. This doesn't hit that way, but this displays good width, obviously good imaging, separation and things like that. Now, in terms of a review like this, I have to talk about negatives. And realistically, the negatives to me are only in areas that you can remedy yourself. If you don't care about packaging like I don't, then the packaging isn't going to bother you, that it's not that premium. I use Pelican cases. I'll link the Pelican case. I believe it's the 1010 Pelican case. I use them to carry my expensive earphones. It's probably a similar size, but far, far safer, and it's not very expensive. So I use a Pelican case. I use my own cables. With this, I kind of want to put it on the Seraph, but I'll probably end up putting it on the Duna Hulk, or one of my Hulks, maybe the White Birch or something. Not White Birch, I'm buying a Seiko, so I'm thinking of White Birch. This is a stunning faceplate design. I don't think you're going to get any better looking. They've done nice refinements with the 2-pin connector being recessed now. It's more comfortable now that it's not so thick on the front plate, and it has better mid bass. It's really, when we have earphones coming out that are just seem like a continuation of a money grab of companies saying, yes, I'm going to release a Mark II, a Mark III, a Mark IV and stuff like that. As for example, you just got the Blessing 3 on the channel, and I was like, what's the point in changing this? It looks like Thieaudio have gone back, looked at what they did right, looked at where they can improve, and they improved it. Okay, they went back on the cable a little bit, but I think they think that that's an improvement, so it's horses for courses. For me, switch out the cable on this to something nice. It doesn't need to be too expensive, but maybe the original Thieaudio Monarch Mark II cable, which is still for sale for about $90. Slap that on this earphone, and it's an absolute stunner. In terms of performance, where does it fall against more expensive earphones? As I say, I have the IER1ZR, I have the EARBUDS. I would take this over the EARBUDS. I'll put this on a par with the IER1ZR in terms of sound. Not the same sound by any means. Soundstage again and bass on the IER1ZR are exceptional. But I'll put it on a par with it. I just don't use the IER1ZR that much anymore because the size of the things are a pain in the ass to get in the ears. I think all around this is exceptional value for money. Really, really exceptional. The only one is if you're more of an audiophile sound, I think the Thieaudio Prestige is the better earphone in terms of technicalities and that sort of performance. I do probably foresee myself using the Prestige more, but in terms of if I'm wanting a more lush, sort of smoother listen, maybe listening to more sort of acoustic stuff, and definitely into the range of jazz and stuff like that, I would pick up this. But it is a beautiful earphone, very well done. Congratulations, Thieaudio, you've done it again, and you've made me ramble on for more than 20 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want to see some 1v1 comparisons that are going to come in the future for this earphone and many others. And I will see you on the next video. Peace.